Elon Musk has declared the bird freed after his $44 billion acquisition of Twitter closed last week. In his first major move as majority owner, Musk cleaned house and fired several top executives, including CEO Parag Agrawal and CFO Ned Siegel. Musk had previously accused the suits of lying to him during acquisition negotiations. Musk tweeted on Friday that long-expected account reinstatements and moderation policy changes will not take place until a, quote, content moderation council with widely diverse viewpoints convenes. Now, those who stand to regain access to their Twitter accounts include former President Donald Trump, rapper Ye, Project Veritas founder James O'Keefe, and InfoWars host Alex Jones.
And new late last night, The Verge reports that Musk plans to bring paid verification to Twitter, potentially, telling his new employees they must introduce it to the platform by November 7th or be fired. The revamped Twitter Blue will cost $20, and current blue checks will have 90 days to pay up before losing their verification. Very interesting. You know, I was seeing a lot of people on Twitter, a lot of conservatives, say, celebrate, hey, this is great. Everything is so much better already on Twitter. And I'm like, but Elon Musk said he has not made any changes yet. So I think this is slightly delusional. Like, everyone's imagining that it's much better. I don't know that like nothing has been changed, according to Elon Musk. Nothing, like there have not been any changes in the last 48 or 72 hours or however long it's been. But people the vibes are certainly good right now. I don't know. So in addition to the fired top executives, another one who was the head of Twitter safety, who was very involved in the decisions, many of the kind of moderation decisions that have irked conservatives, including the Trump decision, I think also the Hunter Biden laptop decision, et cetera. So she has exited as well. I don't know. What do you think? A new day for Twitter?
I mean, here's my problem with this and with a lot of Elon Musk stories is like he does a lot of stuff that make me really want to root for him. And then the big elephant in the room shows up, and I'm reminded again of the huge China problem. So when it comes to content moderation, the idea of having a council or having options where people can choose what kind of moderation they want, that's brilliant and genius and exactly the kind of thing that the blue checks that we hate would totally object to, right? Because they want the content moderation to be just Democratic Party line platform, right? So of course they hate that. I think that's a great idea. The idea of charging for a blue check is so genius because it's like the total democratization of prestige, which is why the blue checks are going totally nuts. I mean, I don't think I would never pay for it, but the idea that, your status will be determined by, what is it, $240 a year, which is something that anybody could raise if it matters enough to them, and that it will no longer be a prestige conferred upon you by, social media, like whatever. Like, that's great. And it's great because it's going to make the people that we hate, the Twitterati, so butthurt. But then I'm reminded again of his relationship with China, of the fact that he built a showroom for Tesla in Xinjiang, where the concentration camps full of Uyghurs are, that, he's never said no to the Chinese Communist Party, and he now owns single-handedly, totally under his control, the public square in America. And if that is terrible, that it is terrible that somebody who is completely under the sway of the CCP now owns our public square. Like, it happens to be that, like, what he does here to troll the libs in America, that kind of stuff appeals to me. But that is just window dressing on a huge problem right now. I mean, do you think I'm going to be able to tweet at him the way I did the other day? Like, I wonder how the Uyghurs feel about, the bird being free, all this freedom. I don't know that I'm going to be able to tweet that in 6 months without being shadow banned, right? So it's I think it's very complicated.
Well, much like conservatives elated that everything's better, then the counterpart to that was all the liberals saying, no, it is over. It's or some people, tweeting criticisms of Elon and his company saying, how much longer am I going to be able to do this? I'm sure they're coming for me. I can hear them, banging down my door as we speak to haul me away. I'm like, again, nothing has changed yet. In terms of the paying for blue check verification, so I would happily pay for it if in addition to the check, it conferred any benefit like that, like you're guaranteed not to have your reach reduced, or the algorithm is even going to favor you. If my tweets had the reach they had in like the golden period from like, I don't know, 2015 to 2020, yeah, I would definitely pay for that. If it's just literally for the blue check, but I am quietly on some list. I mean, so Brianna, our co-host, was tweeting about how she feels she's been limited by Twitter and like can't pick up net followers. A lot of other people talking about that. That's the kind of stuff I hope Elon tells us more about when he learns more about it. What, you know, shadow banning, like I don't know, because a lot of people will say, "Oh, I'm shadow banned. No one sees my tweets." And like, well, it could just be, sorry, you don't have popularity anymore, or it could be in some cases nefarious. It could be some cases genuine, some cases nefarious. I do want to learn more about that process, and I think that's the best case for Elon's takeover, is making some of that more transparent. But I do share your concerns, certainly, about China, and you know, and he's also going to find out that some of these moderation questions, you know, it's easy to criticize them from the other side, but you know, does bringing Alex Jones back, that might actually cause real liability. He might have a fiscal responsibility to the company not to do that, because it could get the whole company liable for this man, for the billions he's supposed to pay out in that sense. So it will be interesting to see him try to weigh those problems in terms of having a committee to decide these things. I mean, Twitter did have an advisory committee on trust and safety issues. But it was not ideologically diverse. It was very progressive stacked. Right. Facebook has this Supreme Court of Facebook that is genuinely more ideologically diverse than Twitter's. Now, it only weighs in cases where content was banned, and then it decides whether to reinstate it. It actually handles a lot of cases in Africa and in Southeast Asia where the content was banned because it was like encouraging violence or like racial violence against a minority racial group, and then Facebook took it down, and then there's like a legitimate dispute over, is that speech? Are these accusations of violence, like accusations that some racial group in Africa or Asia is causing violence against another group? But is that inciting a mob, or is that actually true? Because there's racial violence in these parts of the world. So it's interesting cases. So that group has been, I think, doing probably better work than what Twitter has been doing in the past. So a genuinely ideologically diverse board will probably help, but at the end of the day, these are still very hard cases to make, and you need more of a unified, well, like here's the kind of thing, here's the moderation we do, or like you just alluded to, what I prefer, devolving it to users to say, well, these are my moderation standards. I want to see content akin to what the most, paranoid, misinformation-averse liberal wants. Okay, then you can put on those settings. If you're someone who says, no, I can be trusted with independent information, I don't care if occasional really edgy, provocative, hateful stuff comes across my feed, then that's the standards I go with. Letting users decide will, I think, depoliticize some of this, or have it be less top-down and more just user-based.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, how when you put into your GPS, the destination, and it gives you, 3 options, 4 options based on how long it takes, based on how many tolls there are, right? I mean, it's such a simple thing, it seems to me, to say what you choose the level of moderation you want, you choose the ideological bent that you want to see, and you put it back in their hands, or even to, but I think, Facebook, you can tell immediately that its advisory board is more diverse because, every single day that out of the top 10 stories trending on Facebook, like 8 of them are Ben Shapiro, right? You could never see something like that equivalent, right, on Twitter. So I think that they are doing something better. And I agree with you. It's very easy to criticize content moderation from the outside. I think probably both of us are very sympathetic to the fact that, reasonable conservatives, reasonable Republicans often get booted for saying things that, for COVID things, that deserve to be deserve for us to be suspicious of. And at the same time, there is a difference between being on Twitter and being on Parlor. Certainly minorities have experienced this. I know a lot of Jewish people won't go on Parlor because there's no moderation, and you just end up being exposed to a lot more hate hate stuff, so it's a difficult task. And I just worry that what we're going to see with Twitter is it's going to become a version of TikTok that China essentially has so much sway over what gets said and what doesn't, and the reach of what is said. It's so hard to imagine this being the line that Elon Musk suddenly develops a spine when it comes to China. That's the thing that really worries me.
Well, Parlor has frustratingly earned my eternal enmity after accidentally using not blind carbon copy. They sent out a press release to, I explained this to Radar the other week. I don't think you were on with us. They sent out a press release about the Kanye acquiring the company to a bunch of journalists, like a long email list, and they didn't put in blind carbon copy, so everyone got everyone's email addresses. So now I've been besieged with spam. I've been added to a million right-wing newsletters that I never would have signed up for, and so Parlor made an enemy here. Oh well. It's pretty funny, but not funny at all. But it's exactly those kinds of weird security lapses that I think make people, even people like you and I, who want to support free speech, alternative perspectives, you still got to have basic competence if you're building a free speech alternative site. You have to have competence, do better, please. As some of these platforms are doing better, like Substack, like Rumble, etc. There are healthy, free speech platform alternative platforms succeeding. I don't know if Parler's one of them, but
and one more point is that I think Elon Musk has severely overestimated Twitter's ability to grow. To me, it reads as an elite platform where elites police elites. And I think he thinks he can turn it into something that's much more mainstream. And I just don't see that. I mean, the people who enjoy being on there are the people who enjoy shaming the people who are closest to them socioeconomically and professionally, and trying to climb the professional ladder in politics or in the media. Of course, there are sub Twitter, there's trucking Twitter, and then there's, what's it called? Mushing Twitter for people who ride those sleighs with dogs. Every subgroup has its Twitter, but by and large, it seems to me to be a place where elites congregate. And the idea that you could turn that into something much more mainstream with more mainstream appeal, I just feel very suspicious of that. That doesn't seem likely to me at all.
Yeah, I agree. More Rising right after this. Stay with us.